All right, what's up, all of my fellow emotional executionees, you avoidant, attachment, discardees out there. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully we've been able to take a deep breath in and out this early morning. It's an early morning, leaving the gym. Normally I do the gym in the evenings, and I'll do what's called VILPA, which is higher intensity intermittent activities. Okay, I do some of that. I've afforded myself the opportunity to kind of exercise throughout the day for like 5 or 10 minutes at a time, and it's worked really well. In terms of my metabolic health, my physique looks great. I'm actually in the best shape at 42 than I think I may have ever been in many regards. I can improve on my cardiovascular endurance a little bit, but that's okay. In any case, how's everybody doing? So one important thing I want to talk about here. If you are a person, most likely you are, who's been discarded, or maybe if you have the balls enough to be the avoidant themselves and you're on this channel and you're seeking answers as to why it is that you're the common denominator in a lot of relationships that end in ways that we really don't want. And you're trying to figure out what it is about yourself. What are we taking responsibility for? Good on you. But if you're the person who's been discarded, there's a lot of uncertainty. There was no closure. This is one of the biggest things that we deal with, that we have to overcome. There's no clarity. Everything is uncertain because there was no closure. And you're trying to figure out whether or not the relationship or the love was ever even real on both of your ends. Now, for me and for everyone, man, if you're giving love, look at it this way. We are here to seek self-improvement, to take responsibility and accountability for why we ended up being in that relationship to begin with. A lot of it has to do with your own avoidance of intimacy, unconsciously, right? And we can look into that. And if you feel like that doesn't resonate, that's okay. But pay attention to what I'm saying here. This is going to be very important. The person discards you and it just pulls the rug out from under you. And so all of that love, remember, you're abandoning yourself at certain times unless you're setting boundaries, and the avoidant will automatically start to leave the relationship. All right. You set those boundaries. That requires the intimacy to be discussed. Let's talk about these intimate things, and we'll talk about our values and our principles here, because I feel like I'm giving and I'm sacrificing a lot and compromising, and I don't feel like you're reciprocating. And so those conversations tend to lead to the step back, like the discard, right? So when you have that love that you're assigning to that person, we tend to abandon the inner child, the self. So you're giving that person that love that you should be giving yourself. And so when the discard happens, the rug gets pulled out from under you, and all of that love and energy is now unassigned. And you've become addicted to that person through love bombing and various other techniques that these people use during the honeymoon phase to snatch you. Gotcha, bitch. Right? Gotcha, bitch, as Dave Chappelle used to say in his skits. Right? And so that unassigned love has to go somewhere. You're pouring from your cup, and that cup runneth full, and you are pouring into closed hands. And so now that love is unassigned. What do we do with it? Well, if you're trying to introspect and reflect, to integrate what you're learning, remember, we're trying to grow. This is expansion and growth. This is gaining the capacity emotionally to hold the provisions for what's coming your way. If you grow from this shit, you will become immensely powerful. So that energy and that love that's unassigned has to go somewhere. Now, even in that uncertainty, what the avoidant discard is essentially teaching you is that we fear uncertain things. And so what do people usually do when there's uncertainty about something? They procrastinate. This is the power of the fear of uncertainty. We procrastinate. We don't take the steps forward because we attach our value, our personal or self values and our self-worth to our performance of whether we succeed or fail, instead of just doing with uncertainty whether you succeed or fail as an entrepreneur, or you apply for that job you want, or you go up and talk to that beautiful woman or that handsome, attractive man that has self-authority and self-leadership from across the room. Okay, and so there's uncertainty. And so what this discard actually teaches you, if you really meditate on it and pray about it, and then go for a run about it, and then come back and pray some more, or do some journaling, or you go on about your day and then come back to it later, whatever technique you want to use to gain some clarity here on what it is, it's actually teaching you to take steps forward even in uncertainty. Even in murky waters, it teaches you to step forward anyway. Now, this has to do with virtues. This has to do with courage. Remember, the opposite of courage is not, in my opinion, cowardice. It is conformity to the old self. The old self has to look for something else to validate your worth. But what happens when you're uncertain about something? We procrastinate or we avoid. Procrastination is avoidance. So there's all kinds of avoidance going on. It's not just with romantic relationships. It's with the relationship that you have with yourself. And this teaches you to take steps forward. It turns out that your clarity or your closure is your ability to take steps forward with uncertainty. And therefore, you're finding closure within yourself by overcoming your own avoidance, your own fears. Think about this. Think about it. If you can put these fears to bed and realize that even if it's uncertain whether that girl, it's not guaranteed that if you go up to that girl and you talk to her, she may reject you. And that's okay, as long as you don't attach yourself emotionally to it. You are an awesome person. This is the power of affirmations every morning when you write down, I am magnetic, I am a leader, I am magnificent, I am the man, I am grace in the place that I am grace in the space that God placed me. I know it sounds really crazy. Look, I keep saying this. I was a badass mother in the United States Marine Corps, man. I was never like really the alpha guy. I was more like a sigma. Never sought to dominate anybody, but wouldn't let anybody fuck with me, right? I could whoop ass, right? I was a badass mother. I still am. But I am also a good person who only seeks to love myself and to share that love with others and resonate and align that love and align my ideas with other people and connect with people. Okay, I seek to put my arm around people and say, hey, how you doing today? I'm sharing this beautiful day with you, man. That's the vibrations, man. That's what we want. Okay, and so essentially this avoidant discard teaches you to take steps forward even in uncertainty. People who have a lot of uncertainty and they fear that uncertainty, okay, they fear that uncertainty. These are the people who tend to have a really difficult time with getting over and letting go. So it's not that you can't let go of the person, it's that there's uncertainty, and so you can't step forward into your own and assign that love. You have the shame that you grew up with, that avoidant grew up with, that you grew up with as well, the shame or the guilt or whatever it was that made you feel like, I'm not worthy. Anybody remember that movie, Wayne's World or whatever it was called? We're not worthy. Whatever it was that made you feel like that as a young child, and it amplifies itself. It brings itself back out to play all the time, and you can feel it. And this is why I always say, look, when you get a chance and you feel yourself in uncertainty, you're going to feel anxiety when you're trying to do the thing that the higher self wants you to do. Okay? And so you'll stop and you'll freeze. And you'll just sit there, or you'll go do something else. You'll masturbate, or you'll watch porn, or you'll snack, or you'll go for a ride. Sometimes exercising is avoidance, okay? Now, I don't like to admit that because I am an exercise physiologist by trade and I love physical fitness, but we overdo it sometimes with our training. This is where inflammation happens, injury happens, hormone dysregulation can happen, all right? And that's a big deal. So keep that in mind and think about what I just said and what I'm talking about. The avoidant discard actually teaches you to take steps forward even in uncertainty. And when you recognize it and you start to say, maybe write down, for example, this is your homework. Write down on a daily basis, or maybe just a weekly basis, upon reflection, write down all of the things that you did during the week that you caught yourself doing to avoid something that you really wanted to do. What did you do instead? I would go for long rides in my Jeep, for example. I would go to the store and get some jelly beans. I love jelly beans. I love jelly beans, dude. There's a fresh market down the road, and they sell jelly beans in the dispensers, and they're all kinds of different flavors. And I'll just get a few of each. And actually, the pears, man, are really good. And I hate pears. I don't like pears. But the pear jelly beans are really good if you couple them with the cinnamon. The cinnamon and the cherry. Dude, I'm wild like that, right? So I stop and I'll get them. I'll go for a ride and I'll put on like some spiritual guidance type stuff. So I'm it's not like I'm not being productive, but I'm not doing what it is that I'm doing. Maybe I'm meant to do that, you know? Either way, it's not like I'm not being productive, but you know, we're not watching porn. We're not doing these things, and I've been there, okay? I admit this. It's something that you're an adult, I'm a young guy. You know, we all have our habits at one point. I'm not afraid to admit that. Whatever. We're here now, and I'm living a very healthy life that doesn't involve those type of habits that take your life force and energy away, okay? And we're not using them to fill in the gaps of what it is we actually should be doing. And so the avoidant discard is teaching you to take steps forward. And as you write down those things that you're doing to avoid the big time stuff, the real stuff that helps you elevate yourself, that you can hang your hat on at the end of the day and saying, hey, I genuinely did this. I did it with sincerity, honesty. I was vibrant about it. Like I felt good about it. Now you're attaching what you've done and dedicated yourself to the future version of yourself. All right, you have made a choice about something. I'm going to prioritize the future version of myself for what's in the now, that avoidant now, egotistical, narcissistic moment. Okay, that is called discipline. Prioritizing the future version of yourself over the current ego self that impulsively has you do shit to distract you from the higher self and the things that are important. That's what the avoidant discard's teaching you to do. All right, so keep that in mind, everybody. All right, so there's that. That's a powerful one. That's your homework. Write down a list of things that you are using to avoid doing shit. All right, peace, everybody.